Christian News from English Christian Times. Prayer has to be bold, says Holy Father. Pope Francis began Sunday morning Mass at the Casa Santa Marta by recalling two anniversaries that have fallen in the past 2 years. The first, the 7th anniversary of the Robert Schuman's declaration out of which the European Union was born, and the second, the commemoration of the end of the war. He invited us to pray to the Lord for Europe that it might grow united in its fraternal unity that allows all people to grow in unity in diversity. Church services may not be back to normal by the end of the year, according to Senior Bishop. The Bishop in charge of the planning, how the Church of England will reopen its buildings, has said worshippers will have to get used to a new normal for some time to come. Retired Reverend Sarah Mullally, the Bishop of London, told that there will probably be major changes to how Anglicans do church services due to the coronavirus pandemic. I don't envisage, even up to the end of the year, we will be back to our normal services, she said. Best-selling Christian novel Redeeming Love set to be made into feature film. The best-selling novel Redeeming Love, which masterfully retells the biblical story of Hosea, is set to be made into a feature-length movie. The film will be produced by Northern Irish actress and filmmaker Roma Downey and, I can only imagine, producer Cindy Bond. Redeeming Love has remained a bestseller for over 15 years, selling over 3 million copies. It has been published in more than 30 languages. Give key workers a real living wage, says Archbishop. Key workers in the frontline battle against COVID-19 should be paid a real living wage, the Archbishop of York has told the Lords. The retired Reverend John Sentamu said the current coronavirus crisis had underlined the need to recognize and value the UK's key workers. He said paying them at least a real living wage would be a litmus test for a fair recovery after the lockdown. The cycle of impunity must be brought to an end. Christian family in Nigeria shot while prayer in living room. A family of 4 in Nigeria was shot and injured this week by armed assailants who invaded their home as they prayed in their sitting room. According to the religious freedom charity Christian Solidarity Worldwide, the attack was the latest in the series of armed assaults on Christian communities in both Plate and Kaduna states that continue despite the coronavirus lockdown there. Ravi Zacharias updates reveals cancer has worsened and doctors have done all they can. Ravi Zacharias has returned home from hospital after doctors have said there is nothing else they can do to treat his cancer. Zacharias' daughter, CEO of Ravi Zacharias International Ministries, Sarah Davis, shared an update with their staff about her father's treatment on Friday. She said, while the tumor in her dad's sacrum has been responding to chemotherapy, the area where the cancer started has worsened. Hope and reconciliation should be the tribute to VE Day generation, Archbishop. The Archbishop of Canterbury has called on people to honor the sacrifice of the 1945 generation by remembering reconciliation and holding on to hope. In an address to mark the 75th anniversary of VE Day, Justin Welby spoke of the suffering endured by millions during the Second World War. He reflected on the years of courage and sacrifice between a National Prayer Day in May 1940, when the outlook looked bleak, and the end of the World War in Europe on May 8, 1945. Doctors launch research project to measure impact of prayer on coronavirus patients. An international team of medics have launched an innovative study to measure the clinical impact of prayer on coronavirus patients. With so many people pouring out prayers for sick at this time, Dr. Dhanatya Lekreddy of the Kansas City Heart Rhythm Institute and his dedicated team of researchers are keen to determine the physical impact of the spiritual practice. Appeal verdicts expected for Iranian Christians. Iran is scheduled to review the cases of several Christian converts from day through next week as part of their appeal process. Ismail, a 65-year-old convert from Shiraz, was sentenced this past January for propaganda against the state and insulting the sacred Iranian establishment. He had previously been charged with apostasy, but this was later dropped. His sentence included a 2-year imprisonment. The Revolutionary Court is scheduled to review the sentence. New York Times highlights plight of Christian sewer workers in Pakistan. Earlier this week, the New York Times highlighted the plight of Christian sewer workers in Pakistan. Following a Christian named Jamshed Eric from Karachi, the New York Times illustrated the oppression and suffering these Christians experience on a daily basis. Pray as though everything depended on God. Work as though everything depended on you. News Desk, Christian Times.